Hi, this is Gary Audin, and I'm bringing you an EDUcast sponsored by Revo Labs and Telecom Reseller. Our EDUcast today is Huddle Room Technology, the ultimate collaboration space for UC users. With me today is Preethi Mendirata. She's product manager for Revo Labs, but we're going to do something a little bit different than we've done in the past. I'll be on a headset. Preethi is going to be on one of the Huddle Room technologies that Revo Labs produces, so you get an idea of what it's like to be in a huddle room. So what is the product you're going to be working on, Preethi?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Gary. I am speaking on a Flex UC500. It's a USB conference phone. Connects into my computer, and that's what I'm talking on right now.
Well, thank you. So let's get back to what we're going to discuss today. There is a business case for the huddle room, and think of the huddle room as more of a casual conference room type of technology and setup, something which is temporary at many times. How do you arrange a huddle room is very important. What do you think about in dealing with huddle room technology? Preethi is going to go through a post-setup checklist, which I think is very important to go through this, because the idea of a huddle room is we want to be able to talk to each other and not be distracted, and we want to make sure the huddle room works well enough that people want to come back and be part of a conference. It's always discouraging when you have conferences that run late and that you can't hear very well, and you start wondering, is it really worth participating? But let's move on to the next slide, Preethi, and let's talk about the trends in conferencing that you've discovered.
Yeah, it's a very good topic to discuss. We all know that there's been a history of, boardroom-style conferencing, which required a series of different kind of rack-mounted systems with maybe it's a wired or wireless microphones on the table or conference room equipment on the. That has been, more of a historical conferencing solution. Now we're seeing companies are building more ad hoc space or huddle rooms for smaller groups to meet up and have collaboration on the fly. And they also need to have sometimes video conferencing in those rooms or audio conferencing, and they're using messaging or soft phone applications to do that. A lot of times people are bringing in their laptops or smartphones or tablets into these rooms to aid in the conferencing. Maybe they have a personal device of some other sort to do a conference in this room. And there's a variety of different tools that are coming into the room or are in the room already to do this type of calling. So it's less about formal meetings and more about ad hoc, kind of on-the-fly type collaboration.
Well, there's got to be a business case for this other than saying it's a nice meeting environment.
Well, yes, clearly some of this is expense driven. I mean, large conference rooms cost a lot of money. Outfitting them with systems costs a lot of money. If you have a smaller kind of startup or tech company, for example, maybe they have a very low or medium-sized budget for outfitting an office, or they're using rental space, so they're not able to fit a huge conference room. And to be honest, they don't need it. They need something kind of quick and easy to set up or tear down in an office space, and so that's where you'll see these types of applications. Even in large organizations, you're seeing this. People aren't needing those formal meetings for 12 or 20 people. They just need to have my core group of maybe marketing team to get together, and that's how they're doing meetings today, as opposed to having 20 or 30 people in a room to talk about every single product or solution that needs to be implemented. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and let's talk more about what is a huddle room. And to me, a huddle room seems to be something which you do at the spur of the moment. It's not the kind of formal thing we've thought about in the past. Is that correct?
It is and it isn't. Sometimes you'll have an informal meeting that's just 2 or 3 people that say, okay, we need to strategize on this specific problem. And sometimes you'll have a scheduled meeting, but the teams are smaller, or the collaboration is just one or 2 people on one office having a remote discussion with maybe a development team across the globe. So it can be either. And that's, I think you're seeing a lot of the collaboration are just smaller sized rooms, so 2 to 4 people or 2 people collaborating via video conferencing, and that's the trend I'm noticing.
I think of a huddle room, though, as something that's small. Are we talking about huddle room technology that's more of a portable nature, of something I can set up quite easily rather than having a room wired for it?
That's a good question. It depends on what you're looking for from a performance perspective. So you can have a portable device. Maybe that's a mobile solution, putting it in my hotel room or an ad hoc space. But most of the time in an enterprise or a small business, these are fixed spaces. You'll see that they have video conferencing equipment in here, but they need an audio solution, and that's where yes, there's a formal meeting space, and there's a formal kind of equipment there, but they also need audio. It's not just a laptop providing the audio.
Let's move on to the next slide. We'll talk about arranging a huddle room for audio, and there's several points you have to make here.
Thank you. Yes, so I mean, you're going to need some element of network access. You're going to need some table space for these people to collaborate around. You're going to need a solution that has a microphone pickup for, let's say, 2 to 4 people. It could be more than 4 people in a huddle room. Maybe it's 6 people. I'm in a room right now that can support 6 people. You need something that's in that room that can actually support everyone hearing. So the speaker quality needs to be good and loud enough that everybody in the room can hear it. You want an easy interface. So if it's connecting into a laptop, are they using their laptop? Are they using some controls on the device? How easy is it for your users to interface with the device? A couple of points that I would consider when I'm thinking about arranging a huddle room for conferencing.
Would you say, though, the idea of intuitive and easy says we don't want IT or any expertise around to do it, that I can do it myself?
Generally, I mean, they may set up the device for you, but you don't want to have any complications when you're connecting up the device to, let's say, your computer. It should just be, I can set up the meeting in a couple minutes and ready to go. That's the kind of ad hoc or experience you would want to have, not ad hoc, but that's the kind of experience you would have if you were having a quick meeting. You just want it up and running in a minimal amount of time.
Can you provide some advice to the listeners about buying this stuff?
Yeah, when you're looking at your huddle room, or when you're considering what I'm trying to set up here, is it one person supporting the audio, or one person having a conference, or is it 6 people, is it 10 people? Try to understand how big of a room you need to support. What's the room construction? Because this matters when you're talking about echo cancellation, what you're looking for in the product. Is it all glass walls? Because that means you need something that can handle a reverb in the device. Is there a lot of HVAC noise? Is it a fairly quiet room? Is there any kind of ceiling tiles or wall treatments to dampen the audio? Again, this all impacts the kind of performance you're expecting from the device in the room. From an audio performance perspective, I just mentioned noise cancellation, echo cancellation, but you also want to understand, is this a full duplex system? Most systems will be full duplex, but how they handle echo and how they handle noise reduction may impact your performance, and that means that, can I have a normal conversation like I'm having here with Gary, where we're going back and forth and we can interrupt each other if we need to? That matters when you're having regular huddle room conversation. The other thing you want to consider is the frequency response. Excuse me. Some of the systems do there's bandwidth restrictions for these systems, so you'll maybe be up to 8 kilohertz or 16 kilohertz, and that's wideband or ultra wideband. The larger the band, the better off you are, the better performance you're going to get from the product. And what kind of applications are you connecting with? So are you using Skype? Are you using Link? Does this support that kind of capability to connect in? Can you use it for WebEx? Is there any kind of control that you have from the device or from the application where there's communications back and forth between the device? And in these huddle rooms, what I'm talking on right now is just a USB device, but maybe you have a need for a voice over IP phone as well, or a PSTN phone, in addition to having a soft phone client like a Skype or a Link that's providing audio. So is that a need for this conference room? And then lastly, what is the interface to this device? Is it just USB? Are you using Bluetooth? Do you have an audio jack? What is the kind of performance you're looking for on that line? How is it powered? And that matters, I think, for how you're outfitting the room and like I said, the audio performance and compatibility.
Okay, now that you've talked about buying it, there's got to be a whole set of things you have to consider when you're doing the setup, and you've provided a nice checklist here. Would you go through that for us, please?
Yeah, so first thing you want to understand, and this is what I was talking about, is are your users, when they're talking over the conference call, having a good quality conversation? How's the audio? Is it loud enough? Are there any call dropouts? Are you hearing any echo? So that's kind of on the performance side. Setting up a conference, I mentioned this earlier. How quickly can they set up the device or connect it into their application if they're using a laptop, or any other type of device that they may want to connect into, whether that's a tablet or a phone? How quickly can they set that up and get ready to use? Do you know whether or not the system is on or it's muted? This matters, I think, a lot for some customers that want to have private conversation in that room while they're on the call. If you have a clear indicator of the system being muted, then you know you can have that private conversation and not worry that the other side is hearing the call. Sometimes that's not the case with the device, so you want to make sure that if that's important to you, that you have some clear indicator. Does it connect with devices and platforms that you're supporting in your office? So can you use USB if you're supporting Bluetooth, or you want that support? Does it support all those applications that I mentioned earlier? What's the pickup like in the room? So if you have a 6-person table or a 4-person table or a 10-person table, are the systems picking up everybody in that space so that they can be clearly heard? I think I've already mentioned that. Is it easy to use for non-technical users? How quickly can you set up? These are some of the things that I would consider as you're kind of categorizing these. The audio performance, the setup is easy to use, and it's compatible with the systems that you want to communicate using.
From what I see in your checklist here, what you're really saying is, following the proper checklist, you actually encourage people to do the huddle room conferencing rather than discourage them. Is that correct?
Yes, so I find that we're seeing, and we definitely want to see that if they have a huddle room, that they have the proper audio solution for that. Oftentimes, it can be an afterthought, and in some cases, I'm using my laptop to communicate, and I've got 6 people huddling around my laptop. You don't need to have that kind of scenario. There are better solutions on the market that can provide you a good experience and have adequate or better performing mic pickup than just simply a computer, and can provide speaker output to the whole room. So yes, I do encourage people to use huddle room technology to have conferencing, and I would say there are better solutions than just the laptop. I think you can find, and we're just providing some of that information today.
You are from Revo Labs, but not everybody who's listening knows who Revo Labs is. Could you talk about your company a little bit?
Yeah, so we're, as it says here, a premier provider of audio solutions. We started our business in the wireless microphones space. We spent a lot of time on audio performance, audio quality, echo cancellation, noise reduction in that space, and we've taken that technology, and we're coming out with good quality solutions for both executive systems, like we talked about at the beginning, for larger conference rooms, and for these huddle room spaces, and IP-based phones. So we have a whole host of technology that we use for webcasts, for video conferencing, audio conferencing, but our focus is really on audio performance.
Would you spend a few minutes talking about these 2 products, the ones that deal with USB and Bluetooth solutions?
Right. Thank you, Gary. So the types of products that you're seeing here are the USB and Bluetooth solutions. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm speaking on a UC500. It's ideal for huddle rooms, offices, small to medium conference rooms. This is a full duplex system, has an echo cancellation. It has some intuitive design for call control right on the device. It's a simple connection into your PC, your Mac, and it's powered, so you're getting a really good quality audio out of the speaker. The YVC-1000, and I should address that, Revo Labs is a wholly owned subsidiary of Yamaha, so this is Yamaha product that we're carrying in our portfolio. This is a Bluetooth and USB connected device. Oftentimes I see this as a telepresence solution with a video conferencing, like video conferencing camera and display in the front of the room. This has like a speaker bar, and that microphone you see at the bottom of the screen is distributed, so you can have up to 5 of those in a larger conference room. There's some really innovative technology there with minimizing echo and minimizing noise and tuning the room for audio performance if you've got a noisy room.
Let's talk about the next two, the analog audio and the VoIP conference solutions.
So in addition to having the USB conferencing capability, as I mentioned, if you do need to have VoIP calling as well, we have a series of products that are built off of the 500 platform, which is the UC1000 and the UC1500, which include not just the USB component, but also voice over IP, and we can bridge those calls. So if you and I are having a go-to-meeting like this and we need to incorporate some other call for someone in the office, we can dial them in super easy. This product is good for that 8 to 10 person conference room, and the 1500 is good for up to 16 to 18 people. The Flex wireless conference phone kind of comes off of that concept of, oh yeah, we started our business in the wireless space. We have seen a need for wireless systems in small conference rooms or executive offices. This allows the microphones to be wherever the end user is. As you know, the closer the microphone is to you, the better the performance is. It is Bluetooth enabled, so you can support calling in with your mobile device. It pairs with your mobile device, and a lot of times I've seen executives use this as their mobile solution, mobile device pairing in their office. So that's an option. It's wireless. We have secure 128-bit encryption, so there's some security protocol built in there, some support from a GSM noise perspective as well. And this is just a sample of the products that we offer at Revo Labs, but apply to the huddle room space and conferencing.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to point out to people there's some really good information in the resources. The white paper, Keep the Conversation Going, 7 Tips for Great Conferencing Space. There's also product information at the bottom. The last slide has contact information to get in contact with Randall Lee, who is Director of Marketing. Well, thank you very much, Preeti.
Thank you very much, Gary.